this next one you?
Yep, this one's me. Looking at your contributions to the Nature Conservancy, New York State Museum. I can skip
Same. Start again.
Your contributions to the Nature Conservancy, the New York State Museum. What would you gather and share from the Seed and Feed? Where does the compulsion come from to give back to society? Is it your way of leaving a legacy, and what do you want your legacy to be? What are you planting with all of your little seeds that you're giving back?
Well, I don't know. I guess that's a good question, but it should be kind of self-evident. A legacy is just that it's not plowed and not built and not destroyed. It's protection. Going back to Illinois, that was, of course, I suppose in maybe the 20s, that there were a few politicians in the county that had a feeling of place and said, we need to buy up some of this land in the outskirts of Cook County, Illinois. And must have had enough political clout that the rest of them said, well, you're nuts, but it's cheap land, so if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. Right? And they bought up these forest preserve units. Well, today these forest preserves are completely surrounded by malls and subdivisions, and just, if that land hadn't been bought back then when it was cheap, there's no way you could afford it today. You know, though that land that close to the city. Now, of course, with interstate highways and commuter rail and that, it's all accessible to downtown Chicago. So how fortunate they were that someone had the foresight. And I'm sure that's part of my upbringing, and subconsciously how fortunate it is to protect land. So I'm just doing what I understand from my experience in Illinois is protecting open space, protecting land. And if I can encourage other people to either contribute money to the Heritage Foundation or the Nature Conservancy, if someone comes out here and asks for permission to hunt, the first thing I ask is, are you a member of Pheasants Forever? Well, then you're probably not a member of Nature Conservancy, right? Well, get out of here. Come back when you can show me your membership cards that you've made your minimum contribution to conservation. Buying a hunting license doesn't cut it. That's not enough. And some of them say yeah, or some of them call back and say, I am now a proud member of the Nature Conservancy. So that might be bringing people out and encouraging them to become involved.
Do you think, what is the single most, what's the easiest way, what's the quickest way to get people to feel connected? John Price writes in this new Tallgrass Prairie anthology in the introduction that he wrote that book for, he wrote it for just as much the people who already were a part of that landscape, but he also wrote for the people who were just getting to the door.
Yes, yeah.
So how do you get people excited about something that doesn't look like a mountain?
Yeah.
Or how do you get people, like you have that, it comes from a place from your childhood. Well, what if there's fewer and fewer children growing up today that are going to have any experience like that?
Sure.
So how do we how do we create that? How do we foster that? What do you think the best way to do that is?
Yeah. Might be harder today with computer games, the fascination with instant gratification. Kids don't want to go outside and get dirty, swat mosquitoes. You might get poison ivy. It's dangerous out there. Man. So we've really ingrained and unfortunately distracted their attention. So it's more important now than ever to get kids outside, take them on a field trip. I do at the Lusville Seminar, I do one of the programs on how to lead a field trip. And I've seen field trips where the kids pile off the bus and they just screaming, yelling, running around. They have no idea what to do, so they just act like little kids do, and they scream and yell and run. They go into Dorothy Pico Nature Center and I have to shut my hearing aids off. They're just in there yelling and screaming. And, whoever's in charge has no idea of their obligation, responsibility of what they're supposed to instill in these kids. You know, you need to excite them. You know, snakes and bugs are cool, but you got to get their attention. And you have to get them outside, but you know, you have to say, we have to be quiet. You can't scare anything, you know. And you have to get down on your hands and knees, and everybody's going to be quiet. We're going to crawl around, and if you find some little common thing, oh, that's fantastic. It's wonderful. You know, look what you found. Look what you did. And it's a lot of showmanship, a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of field trip leaders they're boring. And unfortunately, a lot of people are afraid to lead a field trip because someone might ask a question they have an answer for. What is this? I don't know. But we'll take it back and find out. You know? But a lot of people won't do a field trip because most of the answers are going to be, I don't know. We'll take it back, which is fine. You know, so they have my little seminar. That's what I do. That's fine. You know, bring a box or a bag or a bucket or something, and bring all this stuff back and take it to the nature center and find someone that knows what it is. But I've got it used to be slide program, now I've got a memory card. We put a little sticker.
Flash drive deal?
Jump drive?
Yes, yes. So I mean, they're not fancy, they're pretty basic. It's still basically a slide program. But, you know, I've given talks to groups. Now I'll give a talk to any group that wants it. And always there's someone in there that just, same thing, you know, Grandpa's got a piece of prairie that Grandma used to collect flowers on, and so, fine. What are you doing to protect it? What are you doing to protect Grandma's legacy of going out there? There's a piece not far from Akron. There's a nice big sign up there. It's called the Harris Prairie. And this is where Bertie Harris went to collect flowers, and she loved this piece of ground, so the family has kept it as open ground. It could be plowed. I mean, it's not much different than the rest of the ground, and it's just corn as far as you can see. And here's the Bertie Harris Prairie. A friend of mine listened to my talk, knew about it. You got to go see this prairie. Well, driving out there, I could see in the sunlight this uniform stand of broomgrass. Bertie Prairie, it's a broomgrass pasture. Well, we got out, walked around. There's that, made a list. It's got a good list of native prairie plants, but it hasn't been burned probably in 60 or 70, 80 years. Once in a while they'll cut it and bale it so it's not full of trees. I'm sure that if it was burned at the proper time, we could really suppress the brome and have a wonderful prairie. So I did strike a nerve, but the owner is up in Minnesota. The Harrises that are here, there's some old Harrises that are, yeah, they got excited. But the one that actually bales it, takes care of it, it just, I mean, how much further can I go? I volunteered, I'll do the burning, see? So sometimes you win a few, it's still there. It's something that probably ought to have an easement on it. It's a nice little piece of high quality prairie. I don't know, I'll try again someday. So there's projects like that. Or someone will, you know, I'll give a talk, and someone will say, you have to give this slide program to our Chamber of Commerce in Akron. Okay, if you think it's that great, you know, I hope someone there thinks it's great. And that's what you have to do. You just have to keep promoting. And there aren't enough promoters around. That's, I could make a list of organizations that I think ought to be out promoting, and I don't know why they're not, but I'll do what I can. And there's 1, 2, 3, at least 4 people, families, that were thinking about easements or heard about them, didn't know anything about them, that I sat down with, and I'll take some credit for being the initiator. And then once they feel comfortable with me, I've did it, and here's what the basics are. Then you bring in Nature Conservancy or the Heritage Foundation, and so there's 5 big chunks of property that now are protected. That, like I say, I think I'll take some credit for it. And one neighbor here was walking down the road. I stopped to say hello and how you doing, and he said, "Bill, what is that conservation easement all about?" Shut the truck off and said, "Well, come on, sit down.
You should ask.
You got an hour? We'll talk about it." And so, it took a while, but there's another 80 acres that's adjacent to me that's protected, and I'm glad to do that. In fact, I'd probably do more if I could hear at a meeting. But you go to a meeting, and if you don't know what's going on, how can I keep up or contribute? So it's really a severe handicap being at a loss to communicate. It was a great time to retire. I don't know if you remember, I did teach an ornithology class, and it was great students. But what happens is, a student asks a question, and could you repeat that? What's that? Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell them, I've spent some money and the time. You have to really yell at me. Students don't yell at their prof. And what happens is they stop asking questions. That's my fault, not their fault. But I know they need to ask questions, but they don't. So it's why even try to teach when you can't communicate? So it doesn't work. It was a good experience, but this is good. I can do this. And I enjoy this.
We're glad for it. Emily, you got the next one?
Yep.